Hi, welcome to my Woolly PhD. I'm Liz Scarf, and this is a weekly vlog about what I'm currently learning and making in my anthropology PhD, all about wool. You can find a brief overview of the research in the introductory video on the channel, but otherwise we'll just go into what I'm doing this week. But before I do, so I got a really lovely email from someone this week. Let's call them Jay. You know who you are. Thank you so much. They were on YouTube looking at videos about crochet or something, and the YouTube algorithm tangentially suggested one of my videos, which they watched. Anyway, the algorithm was apparently spot on because they loved the videos and emailed me to share what they were getting out of them and share their appreciation, which was really lovely. But it also compels me to say, if you like the videos and you think they might have value to others, poke the algorithm, which basically means like it, subscribe, comment, share it, invite me on your wildly popular podcast, whatever. That's great. It's one way to kind of get things that we value out into the world more. And there's no sneaky profit-making agenda going on here. I'm just sharing love of wool and love of learning, love of anthropology. So, yay. What have I been learning about this week? Enchantment. Oh my God. I'm enchanted by enchantment. It's so great. So there's two things I've been, two key readings. So there's this, what's a library book? They mostly just have the really boring covers at the library. This is The Enchantment of Modern Life by Jane Bennett, who you may remember from the breakaway pop hit Vibrant Matter. I may have referred to that a few times already in the series. It's a very interesting political theorist. Anyway, the other one is Craft and the Creative Economy. This is by Susan Luckman, and Susan is an academic from South Australia who writes a lot about craft and craft economy, gender, rise of the handmade, and just very, very interesting. I went to a talk by her about the value of analogue skills in a digital age and just how they were disappearing and the kind of implications that had for society. Really, really interesting work. Anyway, chapter 3 is a chapter about the enchantment of making, and she draws on Bennett's ideas about enchantment there. So they're the two things that I'm reading about at the moment. And as usual, they're, I think, certainly probably Craft and the Creative Economy. It's an academic book, so it just means it's really expensive. I think The Enchantment of Modern Life you can get at like proper book prices, or like demanded from your library. Anyway, so I'm really loving learning about this because I experience it personally as well, and I think a lot of makers do, right? So throughout this whole book, Bennett just gives lots and lots of different ways of describing enchantment, what she's meaning by this. But here's one snippet I particularly liked. She says, enchantment is a feeling of being connected in an affirmative way to existence. It is to be under the momentary impression that the natural and cultural worlds offer gifts, and in doing so remind us that it is good to be alive. I just want to keep reading it to you. It's a sense of fullness, a contentment with its existence, and it encourages the finite human animal in turn to give away some of its own time and effort on behalf of other creatures. So this idea that enchantment can also lead to a sort of a benevolence as well, and a care, an ethic of care for others. This is part about gifts that I kind of really struck me. So, there's just so many other things she says about enchantment that I want to share that I'm just like, do I say that? Anyway, a few other things. So there are also moments when our normal sort of sensory cognitive way of perceiving the world shifts, like so that they're altered states of consciousness in a way. And there's often stillness associated, like the body stops moving, and there's an element of surprise, usually part of it. She also talks about an element of fear in it, but not overwhelming. I'm not sure that's always my experience, and I think I have a few thoughts about how I would debate that bit actually, but I think like all affective experiences, they happen on a continuum, right? So and I think enchantment's the same, right? Sometimes it's very intense and other times it's just very subtle, like this sort of notion of an everyday enchantment, right? And I have two particular memories of enchantment that stand out to me. One of them's a memory, but it also happens every time I go there, right? It's this local yarn store to me called Sunspun. It's in Canterbury in Melbourne. And it happens every time I go in the store, right? But the altered state starts when I decide to go to the store. I already get this little, very subtle, feeling of anticipation happening in my body. Anyway, and it just keeps building as I go. When I step inside and I close the door, I just stand there taking in this moment of enchantment and kind of really breathing the place in, and just there's this whole sigh that happens in my body, like somewhere I can kind of really relax and I'm here to be happy. And but I also this incredible sense of the gifts of the world that are there. It's this beautiful, beautiful experience. Thank you to Sunspun for that. But I rank this roughly in about the middle of my enchantment continuum, right? The second is a moment that I had, and this I rate more at the extreme end. I had just spent the day at Corriedale Cloverleaf Stud, just outside of Melbourne. I was learning about how to process fleece for spinning. And so my husband and his best friend had been away camping, and they were picking me up on their way home. And so I knew the car was going to be full of camping gear, and I still bought 3 really big bags of fleece. So anyway, I cram myself in the back seat with all this fleece. I've got a bag on my lap, and I've got these other bags sort of sitting on the camping gear all around me. And then I'm just struck by this feeling of enchantment. And again, it was this feeling of this bag of fleece was just this incredible gift. And I felt so lucky. And I swore with joy, actually. I'm not shy about swearing. I'm a bit of a swearer. But I can't remember ever swearing with joy. I'm sure it's happened. But I was just whoa, that was a really amazing moment. That was more at the extreme end. And I was struck still, and my breathing, I kind of stopped breathing almost for a little while, and it was just, it was amazing. It was a beautiful experience and very unexpected. This is the other thing about enchantment, right, is you can make yourself open for it, but you can't create it necessarily. So anyway, that was fun. But Susan Luckman, she writes, when she's writing about the rise of the handmade, one of her chapters is about, because she's part of it's exploring about why we are seeing such a resurgence of the popularity of handmade things in the Western cultures particularly. And one of the arguments she makes that is less common in literature is the experience of enchantment in the making process. And that the maker experiences this, but also if you buy from a maker who you're a little bit closer to that experience of enchantment too, right? So, but I really think a lot of makers can probably relate to this, right? This experience of the making process as kind of having some kind of aspect to it of feeling like an enchantment, or like a joy and a sense of contentment. Also just that life is full of gifts. And I don't know, I think I definitely hear this with knitters. I've heard so many knitters, and I do this as well, describe knitting as a kind of magic. And that's a statement about enchantment, I think. And I particularly feel it when I'm strutting around in something I've just finished making. And looking at this three-dimensional surface that came from basically a piece of string that I looped through itself a lot. And it's that it is just kind of wild, right? And I'm already imagining how intolerable I am going to be when I'm wearing for the first time the sweater I made from spinning the wool myself. It's going to be next level enchantment. Anyway, the other thing I'm sort of thinking about with this too, right, because I'm studying things from a post-human perspective, or a way in which I'm assuming and conceiving that wool has its own agency and its own characteristics, that it's an active participant. So therefore, in a moment of enchantment, I have to think, okay, it's not just me having an affective experience of being enchanted and it's just because of my own psychology or something, right? But that there is some kind of enchanting agency outside of me, for me, in the wool, right? That there's an interaction that we're having, not just an affective experience that's being generated from me, just solely within me, right? So, I think this is a really deep part of my learning quest in this PhD, is just to discover more about the nature of my enchantment experience with wool. I am just so lucky to be studying this. I feel so lucky. Anyway, I have shared a couple of my experiences of being enchanted with wool and making. I would love to read yours. I think they're the most darling stories. And my goodness, we are living in times where more stories of enchantment could just be a total balm for the soul. So please feel free to share them. I would love to read them. What have I been making? I say it like it's really exciting. It's not. Well, it is, but I decided not to drag out and show you the never-ending cardigan, thinking that I've shown it in every other video, but I should have got it in case this is your first time watching. Anyway, I'm working on the Pyramid Cloud Cardi by Mini-Me Designs, and I'm working on it a little bit too slowly for my liking, probably because I'm just busy with lots of reading. I did finally try it on, and it is a little bit too big. If you watched last episode, you might have heard me talking about how I'm procrastinating about trying it on because I suspected it was too big. It is. My tension's gotten too loose. But it's not that big that I won't wear it, so it's fine. I'm going to keep going, and maybe when I block it, I'll try and scrunch it up a little bit. I've made some good progress on my latest muscle burra beanie. I'm knitting that in some seminars and some talks I went to yesterday. I'm in the middle of the Australian Wool Show. Went yesterday and I'm going again today here in Canberra. It's been really cool, actually, really, really cool. And I've finished off. So I'm spinning a really dark chocolate Corriedale fleece from Cloverleaf Corriedale, hoping that it will be enough for a sweater. And it's my first kind of fleece to sweater project. And it's kind of, I've broken it up basically into quarters. So I've just finished spinning the third quarter bobbin. So this is it. And dark colours are so hard to pick up. Anyway, so this is one ply. And so I've started now on the last quarter. The first half of it I've already plied it and put it in. I've got two cakes of yarn ready to go. So I'll do these last ones and then I can really work out my final calculations for amounts and the yarn weight, and then I'm going to find a pattern. I thought I could write the pattern myself, but that would be my first one. And I think I really want to get a move on with this, because I want to get it done by the end of May, actually. I've got a project presentation I need to do for my studies that I really want the sweater to be part of, so that's that. That's really what I've been making. Not anything finished. That's okay though, getting there. But yesterday I was at the wool show and I bought yarn, and so I was going to share some of that. So if you don't like yarn haul content, I would say let's say goodbye now. Thanks for watching. But if you do, stick around. I'm going to share a few things. I got a bunch of fibre for spinning. I'm not going to share all that. That's, whatever. There's a picture of it on my Instagram if you want to check it out. I can't remember my Instagram handle. It's Liz Making With. I'll put it in the show notes, hopefully. A couple of things I do want to share with you though, we're enchanting, very excited about. I have this. So this is a comb top Polworth braid, and it's just the natural colour, it's not dyed, and I just cannot describe how silky soft it is. It's just so divine. Anyway, this is from Tarnworn Court, or Tarndi as they're often called. I've bought yarn from them before. It's beautiful. I think it's a really great company to buy yarn from. And Polworth, it's lovely. Oh, it still smells a bit sheepy. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, I only bought 100 grams of this, so I'm going to try it out. But I suspect I'm going to go back for more months down the track, of course. Not doing that anytime soon. I'd love to do a sweater spin from this actually. So, but I'm just going to try it out and maybe put it together with some of the other fleeces I bought to. Anyway, I just can't stop touching it. I need to so I can show you the other things. So there's a maker, a knitter on Instagram called Lindsky, and that's Lindtski. And I think she's a magician with colour. And her trick is that, this is what I think her trick is. I've seen her write about it, and I've just kind of studied all the makes of hers that I just love. I really studied what did she make it with. So she'll always hold 3 together. So she'll hold like a fingering weight and 2 lace weight yarns, and at least one of them will be a mohair and a variegated mohair. Now in Australia, I hadn't come across a lot of dyers doing that. So there's been some overseas dyers that I've been like going, oh, one day I'll buy some of their variegated mohair. Anyway, it looks like it is happening in Australia. I either missed it or it's just emerging. But at the yarn show, there was 2 dyers in particular whose variegated mohairs just were amazing. One of them is called The Knitting Man Recommends. I think her name is Karen. Anyway, we had a really lovely chat. I bought 3 from her, and I bought 2 of these. It's so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. This colourway is called You Give Your Love. That's lovely. Anyway, so I bought 2 of these, and I bought one of Zombies at Peace. Okay, so I think Karen wins the award for the best yarn names. Anyway, this is also very beautiful. I'm really looking forward to experimenting with these. And then I got to 3 Trees Fibercrafts, who I have loved their colourways from a distance from a while and hadn't ever got to buy any. And then I bought lots. I bought 5 of their skeins of mohair, and this is called Forage. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Now, I'm mostly like a warm autumn's colour person, but I also know that pops of bright blue purples look really great and that Lindsky uses them a lot. So this one is Barking Up the Wrong Tree. This is Water Babies. Again, this is a colour I would not usually do a main colour in anything with, but it's going to be really lovely, as I said, in pops of colour through a colour work thing. Same with this one, Bed of Violets. Gorgeous. But if you love cool colours, or bright spring is your thing, beautiful. You could do those in like, you can do what you want. You don't have to follow what actually looks good with your skin tone. Feathergrass. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Anyway, so I have been kind of drooling over variegated mohairs online for, I don't know, at least a year. So I am just feeling like very chuffed to have got my hands on some and to be able to pick them out in person, not just sort of taking the gamble online. That was really great. If you saw last week's video, you would have seen that I started Drea Renee Knits Through Lines, and the blue that I had for one of the contrast colours, it was too strong, so I was hunting at the yarns show for a softer blue, and I got this gorgeous like little pale denim type colour. This is from Alpaca Allure, and I have bought from them before. They're Australian. They're also just, they're craft miles on their production. They grow their own alpacas. They blend it with Australian merino, and anyway, it's another really great company to buy from in terms of a values match for me. So yeah, I love that. I'm looking forward to trying that out with the shawl. And then I also bought, I didn't actually buy much already made yarn, except for that mohair. I didn't count that. Daffodil Road. So I actually met the dyer from Daffodil Road, Sarah, at dinner last night. We had a really lovely conversation. Very lovely person. Anyway, I had actually already bought a few things from her stall. This is a sock set, and what's it called? Gold sock. Oh no, Manuka honey. Anyway, I love this. There's really beautiful, subtle kinds of gold, yellow, grey through this. I cannot tell you how many skeins of wool I have bought that are similar, like with these grey mustard golds through them really subtly. I love it as a combo. Anyway, these are going to be fabulous socks. I'm looking forward to those. And then I bought a little bunch of minis that she's done, again in this just like totally my colourway kind of thing. And this is Yorkshire Dales, and I just fell in love with those when I first saw them, but I didn't buy them. But then on my second round I went back and went, stuff it, I'm getting them. So I'm really happy with those. They're going to be very gorgeously part of many projects, I think. So I'm feeling very full and lucky in terms of yarn and abundance, but yeah, you know, I probably won't be buying any yarn for the rest of the year except for my PhD Icelandic yarns. So yeah, that's been my week. It's been a good week, and yeah, learning lots of things I'm really interested in. Yeah, I hope you also have had a good week of learning lots of things you're interested in and getting to play with yarn. Thank you for watching, and yeah, I'll be back next week with more woolly shenanigans. Okay, bye.